This Red 3 Games preview is brought to you by Netflix. It's my great pleasure to be joined by Caleb Arsenault, who is the senior producer over at Fifth Cell for Scribblenauts Unmasked. As someone who's always admired the Scribblenauts game, the integration of the DC heroes was like, okay, you really have my attention. So, I mean, one of the key senses we've got from the game is that you have managed to have a catalog of more DC heroes than you've ever seen in one place at any time?
Oh, in any video game, really. I mean, we packed the game with over 2,000 of them. And I mean, that's more than we initially even planned, right? The initial list that we had was about 1,200, but because we just kept
That's still
finding...
a really big list, just so you know.
Yeah, but not for us, right?
I can name 30 with confidence.
The 1,200 is like not as ambitious, right? And so we just kept filling it out. And DC would even come back and say like, oh yeah, you found that guy? Yeah, put him in too. And so we just kept going back and forth, and the final number was north of 2,000, so we're excited.
All right, well, let's take a look at the game. We're going to have Nick Robinson of Address the Sess, and in general young person around the office who's to be driving this. You want to hop us in, and if you want to give us a sense of what we're looking at.
So this is the intro to the game.
Maxwell could create any object by writing it in his notebook, and Lily had a globe that let her travel anywhere she wanted.
All right, so we have the setup to the game. Where are we now? I mean, I assume this is where we kind of go into our various missions and our challenges.
Well, as you saw, Maxwell emerged from his, teleportation in Gotham, next to the bat signal. And so what you can see here are all of our what we call heroic feats. Now these are like bite-sized challenges to the player. Like you've played puzzles, you've played challenges in other Scribblenauts games before, and that's what these are. However, they're procedurally generated. So every single time you load this map, you'll see new quests to do. And so you'll see these icons above the characters' heads, and that means that a heroic feat is available, right? So this guy is like, oh no, I dropped my key at the bottom of the ball of like all these spike balls. So you have a puzzle
right here that would potentially unlock another mission once you've solved it.
Correct, yeah. Every time you solve one of these puzzles, you actually get something called reputation. And that is the currency used to like unlock new content, unlock levels, costumes for Maxwell, superpowers for your custom creations. And so what we're going to do right now is I'm going to illustrate, our procedural content. So we're going to go ahead and open up the pause menu and select restart. And after we do this, the map will reload, and you'll actually see a whole different set of puzzles. So if we just like look around here, we could just kind of see like the fact that everything is wiped clean, and there's a whole
not what
new
we saw
set.
before.
And so we really are emphasizing replayability, right? And so it's like every single time you go in here, there'll be brand new challenges to complete.
So now those challenges themselves, are they procedurally generated, or is the availability and maybe who's offering the challenges, that's what's procedural?
So there's a skeleton there, of course, to make it fun, that we scripted. However, the participants, the frequency, the location of where the objective is, all those are procedural. So even if you may encounter like a similar quest, it has a new objective, it may have a new enemy to fight, it may have a new location for its like objective. There's a lot of differences there that are all randomly generated.
I mean, what's interesting is that clearly you guys are very confident in sort of what the core gameplay is, that you know what those discrete elements are, that you just need to kind of say, as long as these 5 things happen, we know we have a proper challenge.
And we've done these sort of challenges before in previous Scribblenauts games, and we've distilled down what makes Scribblenauts fun, and experiencing these challenges in this sandbox is really rewarding.
Now, here's one thing I do find a little bit interesting. Outside of the specifics of the DC universe, there's nothing in the previous Scribblenauts games that would preclude you from doing something that would be attributed to a superpower. You can pretend you could fly, you could punch someone in the head. But what's interesting is because it's in the superhero universe, I can see how you're already going to start thinking more in a superhero way. Was that kind of, I'm trying to figure out how you sort of balance, yes, of course it's novel that we have superheroes, but in the Scribblenauts universe, well, Maxwell's kind of a superhero already.
Oh yeah, and on par with a lot of his compatriots in the DC, catalog. And basically, you're right. I think it does inspire players to do different things with Maxwell than in previous Scribblenauts games because they're surrounded by people who are amazing and full of power and are shooting beams and flying around and stuff. And yeah, I think it actually does goad the player on a little bit more and inspire them.
So when you're saying that this area, how the missions are procedurally generated, and obviously there are these little mini puzzles to help open up even more of the missions. Do you see the player refreshing a lot, or do they kind of just go in there and do a full play session with just this one map, for lack of a better word, open to them?
Yeah, so actually that's a really good point, and we've provided a lot of incentive for players essentially to increase their reputation, and I could actually show you some of that right now. So if we actually just spawn any DC object,
A small batarang.
yeah, so if we put that on the ground, anything that's in the DC, anything that we've added in the DC world has this little bat computer icon that pops up to the right of it, and this actually opens up the bat computer feature, and this is huge for us because basically what this is an encyclopedia of over 2,000 DC objects. Everything that we put in the game has a biography written for it, and so this was insane for us to do. I mean, even Bat Gadgets has a bio, and it has kind of like Wikipedia style links that you can click on and go to different articles and learn more and more.
So I'm assuming, and I actually am quite the DC fan.
Nice.
It's kind of a challenge. I have to sort of really start to ply my brain about, sort of the arcana, see if I can bring it out, and then and that's how it enters into the computer, and I can learn more about it. The Bat Cow.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
I didn't know about the Bat Cow as much.
There's a Bat Cow, actually. Yeah, that's the thing. Everything and everything that we added, comes from the comic line.
Right.
And so it's like it's in there. You could Google it, search for these issues.
And obviously, we're already seeing that right here with Batman. Is there's so many different kind of skews to some of the primary characters. I mean, how broad did you get?
We went as broad as possible, and it really depended on how popular a character was. For Batman, we actually have 33 versions, and in fact, in the top left corner, you'll see the magnifying glass, and if you tap on that and type in Batman, you'll actually be able to see all the different versions of Batman that we have. And yeah, we have got 4 pages of it, and basically it's
who's below Batman Beyond?
That's actually Batman Caveman. That's a caveman Batman. It's
Okay.
actually straight up from the comic books where Bruce Wayne was traveling back in time, and he essentially, was the incarnation of Batman through every period of our history.
Wow.
And so we went pretty obscure sometimes.
So can I have Nick go look for a couple characters?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
Hit it.
Can you look for Plastic Man? I'm kind of really honing in on when I must have been a child. Oh yeah, there
So
he is.
not only do we have Plastic Man, and this ties into your previous question, not only do we have Plastic Man, but we also have a costume for Maxwell. Now, actually, this is what you use Reputation to unlock. So you're in the world, you're solving these challenges, but when you go into the Bat computer, you can actually unlock powers and costumes for Maxwell to use himself. What else do you got?
Okay, you have a better knowledge. Throw one out just be like, oh my god, I can't believe that's in there.
All right, I would say something pretty obscure is type in Despotellus, or even you could just do Despot. So this is a really interesting character.
Okay, yeah, you're gonna have to explain this to me.
Okay, so basically, this is a virus, and this virus is a Yellow Lantern. There's Green Lanterns.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
So he's actually part of the Sinestro Corps, which is what they call the Yellow Lanterns, and
Right.
they're the mortal enemies of the Green Lantern Corps. So
This is a virus.
and it's a virus, but it's a sentient virus that sort of has an agenda, and it's evil, right? And inspires fear.
I have my affection for Green Lantern. I did not know that you guys went so granular as to get the more microbial members of the Sinestro Corps. How much do you think that the player is going to be sort of discovering of that level of depth? I think many people who are going to pick up this game are going to be aware that that potential is there. But what do you think is there in terms of gameplay to help remind the player, hey, dig a little deeper because there's something waiting for you there?
Well, actually, that's a great question because that's why all the objects that are used in these heroic feats are procedural, so that it can use an obscure character. It doesn't always.
So I could just run into Despotellus and be like, hey,
Who
there,
are you?
virus guy.
Exactly. So it really reinforces itself so that people will see something that just looks interesting and they're able to click on that Bat computer icon and actually go and learn about it.
So that's the big pink writable Batman Beyond.
Yes.
Okay. Now my imagination is just exploding inside my head.
And actually, because he's a good guy and Despotellis is a bad guy, they automatically do not like each other, right? And so they'll automatically start fighting. And so a lot of the rivalries that you would expect to see, because he's a virus, he's essentially making Batman Beyond, sick. And so basically, a lot of the rivalry that you've come to expect from the comics world is evident in here. You could actually match people up.
And because that rule or that logic is already embedded in those various characters.
Yes.
I mean, this is, yeah.
And actually, that's really a good point. He tried to give Batman a gun, but Batman never uses guns, and so he'll never accept it. So not only was it
also, wait, am I right that Batman's now trying to keep Maxwell from using a gun?
Correct. Well, because Maxwell actually just gunned down that scientist in front of Batman, so he's actually going to try to serve up some justice.
Well, I mean, obviously it's honoring the essential legacies of the characters, but it is kind of fun that you're giving no quarter on something as sacrosanct as obviously his non-gun using, and he's against killing people.
No, that's
okay. I want to see
cool.
this tiny killer croc.
There you go. oh, this is going to be a very one-sided fight. Yeah. Oh. But Tiny Killer Croc could actually lift people up and slam them, so that's what he did. That's what he did there. Yeah, you're gonna be hard. I guess you could just shoot him.
Shoot Batman, Nick. Okay, can you give him an apple and try to make peace with him?
He's gonna be a pretty singular purpose at this point.
All right.
He's gonna go for you.
Huge apple.
There you go.
Well, maybe if we bring in Robin.
Okay, he's gonna throw it at you now.
Okay, bring in Nightwing and let's see if maybe that'll pacify him. All right. Yes, because.
No, he's also gonna probably go after you too, because he's like, hey, if who's ever Batman's enemy is my enemy.
Try this, and maybe he will not be available because it does feel a little bit more adult. Mm-hmm. But Lobo, or
yeah, I wonder if we have him. Oh,
yay!
But
Lobo, he looks the way he should.
And Lobo has a very specific thing that he likes to ride around on that perhaps you have as well.
Can you put that in there?
I think it's actually Lobo's motorcycle.
It's his motorcycle.
Yes. Yeah, there you go. There it is. You could actually ride that too if you want. No big deal.
So, I mean, you said 2,000 characters, obviously both from the villains and from the heroes. Mm-hmm. What were sort of the limits? Like, what were the lines that you had to draw for yourself so you just didn't probably go slightly crazy trying to find everything out there?
Well, I mean, obviously we focused on the superheroes and supervillains. There's a lot of characters that make up the DC Comics world. Somebody's aunt, somebody's cousin, second, nephew or something like that. And not all of those made it in, especially if they weren't featured prominently in the comics. However, we're really satisfied in terms of the coverage that we did do on all the villains and superheroes.
So is there anything else in the game that you'd like to show us today?
Yeah, actually. So, we have a lot of customization with the costumes and stuff like that. But something that players really loved from previous Scribblenauts games was our object editor. Mm-hmm. And so what we're going to do is we'll open up the world map, which is an icon right next to the right mode. There we go. And go down to...
So you have more settings than just that.
Oh, yeah. No, we have a whole world. Actually, scroll down a little bit slower to the bottom. And we have all these levels. These are all places set in the DC Comics world that you would come to expect. We've got Atlantis. We've got Themyscira, the homeland of Wonder Woman.
You just start in Gotham.
Exactly.
Yes,
and you go through all these different areas. And not only that, but on the bottom, these are optional, but you can actually use Reputation to unlock the origin stories and play through those.
Oh, wow.
For each of the Justice League characters, right? And so you could go see, Superman's origin, how he crashes on Earth, and you could kind of like help him, survive and grow up to become Superman. And so we're going to go to the Batcave, which is the little Batcave symbol right there, and we'll open up the Hero Creator.
Okay.
And actually take you through.
So instead of an object creator, it's a hero creator.
Correct, because it has all the DC object characters. And so if you click on the little icon above Alfred here, he'll actually ask you. He's like, open the hero creator, and you'll say, yes, of course.
Because he's a helpful man. He does what he's told.
So actually, we'll go to new, And we'll take your favorite DC object just to start with, kind of start with a template. So who's your favorite DC Comics character?
My favorite. Let's go. You know what? Because I've really been enjoying reading it lately, let's go with Aquaman and just see what we can do with that.
All right, let's do it. And of course, just like Batman, we have all these different versions of Aquaman.
Right.
As well. So, you know.
Yeah, not the mullet version.
Okay.
I like,
all right,
yeah.
so you know, not the mullet version. All right. So this, I believe this is actually the 80s version of Aquaman.
And that's what I'm familiar with, so.
All right, so that's cool, and he looks great, obviously, right? But let's go ahead and tap on his head and drag his head to the trash can, to the top right. And let's
it's a little painful. Okay.
Yeah, he's fine, still breathing. And then go to the stamps section, which should be 2 over, there you go. And then let's open up the notepad in the top left there.
Oh, neat.
And then whose head can we put on this guy? Maybe a villain.
Yeah, let's try Mixelplick.
All right.
Yeah,
all right.
because we have, and of course I'm now asking poor Zach, poor Nick over here,
he
to
may not be
spell
able to
one of the
spell.
hardest to spell names in anything. Is it? Yeah.
I think we're on the right. There we
Yeah.
go. Now select his head and drag his head. Oop. All right, try it again, and then this time we'll get his head and just drag his head over, and we'll put his head on top of Aquaman, and then go ahead and use the stylus to drag his torso. That's off to the left. Drag that to the trash so it's off screen. So now we have Mr. Aquaplixik.
Yeah, this is getting fun. I'm having fun here.
So, I mean, and we could also change his proportions a little bit. So if you go back to the arrow that we started on, the arrow section that modifies the stamps, yeah, that one right there, we could actually select his arm and actually use the slider bar that's to the left to increase or decrease the size. We can make this, you know, as ridiculous as we want. We can make him really ripped. We can make him, you know, really kind of puny, and we could change it any
Make
way
them
we really
lopsided.
want.
So let's just make one arm and one leg a little bit.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. All right. And you can tap on a leg. There you go. That's classic 5th dimension mischief.
Yeah. I like how the knee is right there,
man.
tucked under the armpit.
And he looks like he needs to go to the hospital. Really, it looks pretty bad.
Well, see, this gives him a really strong backstory of his just
Yeah.
absolute absurdist contempt for all things.
Yes, exactly.
So,
And yeah, of course you could change the colors, you could change the materials. There's a lot of different things you could do in here. So we've added to the functionality of this, not only with the DC Comics character pieces, but also if you look at the glove holding the little diamond on the right, these are actually superpowers that you can attach to your custom creations. Back to your earlier question of like, what is the reputation used for? It's used for stuff like this, and you can actually, there's over 100 superpowers here. You can put all of them on your character.
I mean, I would have to say, what has me interested is there's so many ways that the different aspects of the game just really tie into one another that I can see really, oh, that is awesome.
So that's actually, let's go to the save button on the bottom left, and we can actually name this guy whatever you guys want.
I have a name for you. Adam. I think that's a good name for him.
And there should be a delete button there, and you could, yeah, there you go.
Now, I am curious, is there any type of online functionality to sort of share these creations between other players?
Yeah, no, exactly. On the Wii U and PC, we have sharing, so that, you know, this isn't limited to just your local copy. You can actually share Mr. Adam with the greater online Scribblenauts community. And actually, we've seen a lot of success from Unlimited. There's a lot of user-generated content, essentially, that has been shared.
Well, maybe we'll hold on to this one and see if we can put it out there to see what kind of unfortunate nonsense someone can do with Mr. Adam. But I would like to say I finally feel most comfortable of how I've envisioned myself in supervillain form.
Oh, awesome.
Caleb, so the game, it is imminent to release. When does it come out?
September 24th, which is this Tuesday.
And that is 3DS, that is the Wii U, and that is the PC.
Yes.
All right, well, thank you so much for stopping by. That was really, really, really enjoyable. I can't wait to play myself.
Awesome.
Take
Thank
care.
you very much.
Hey, if you want to support more of this preview coverage, why not check out Netflix? With Netflix, you can instantly watch TV shows and movies directly to your home, saving time, money, and hassle. Netflix is available on a ton of devices you already own, like the Xbox 360, PS3, Wii, and more. Plus, Netflix is the only place you can watch movies like Treasure Planet, Disney's attempt at doing a pirate movie in space. You can get a free 30-day membership and support Rev3 Games by signing up at netflix.com/Rev3Games.